Uh, can you text me where we stopped the last class? Oh, thank you. So, can you text me where we stopped in last class? I didn't get any message. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, can you text me where we stopped, please? Uh-huh. Host, co-host ஆகணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Okay. இப்போ உங்க chat பண்ணலாமா? Okay. Unclass Seabed Treaty. Okay. MTCR Seabed Treaty over, right? Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then we will move to next topic. Okay. Next, someone asked a question. Sharmi, do we have IO SIA material? Yes, you will have one exclusive booklet for international organizations. Okay. In the booklet, along with the conventional, the previous 12 months current affairs will be updated, but coming months that we have to discuss. Okay. So next topic, our next global mandate is addressing environmental issues. Okay. So already we discussed addressing nuclear issues, and along with the 3 of our friends, can anyone join with your video? Okay. So along, see, the next topic is environmental organizations. Very, 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 very important. And from environmental organizations, we used to get previously till 2017 and all, we used to get more than 10 or 15 questions. Okay. But in the past 2 years, questions are reduced, but it is not like always the year after they will not ask questions from this like that. Definitely, all of a sudden, there will be 15 questions from one particular topic. So, for example, generally from science and technology, they will ask less than 10 questions always. Okay, if you take all previous year question paper, hardly you will get 6 to 8 questions, sometimes 9 questions, that's all. But what happened in 2019 preliminary, last year preliminary, all of a sudden 18 questions asked from science and technology. No one expected that. And all 18 questions are from current affairs, nothing from conventional area. So science and technology means like it is not like typical physics, chemistry, biology. Okay, so it is about recent developments. Okay, so same like that, from environmental organizations, we may have some questions. So that is probably 10 questions, 15 questions, even 20 questions, like in 2016. Okay. See, the environmental organizations, do you know any environmental organizations? So there is a question. So this doubt is beyond subject, but actually I want to know. So could you please tell about Yojana and Gurukshetra and how to handle this? Do you have any, sorry, do we have to regularly read these all? 100% you should read Yojana and Gurukshetra. Very, very, very crucial for your main examination, not for prelims. Okay. So for main examination, it is very important. The gist of Yojana Gurukshetra, it is available in IAS Parliament. You can take it. And particularly for paper 2 and 3, Yojana and Gurukshetra will be very, very useful. Okay. So otherwise, we will make one session for this Yojana and Gurukshetra. Okay. So WWF, UNFCCC, sites, NGT, UNFCCC, UNEP, National Institute of Oceanography, okay, UNEP, IUCN. Okay. Why we need international organizations for environment? Do we need really? Why? Can we manage by our own? Say, for example, we have in India, we have environmental problems like deforestation that we can manage by ourselves, and pollution we can manage by ourselves. Like pollution means solid waste management and even water pollutions, okay, land pollution, everything can be managed by ourselves. And if you take like marine pollution, again we can manage in our coast, okay. So, and apart from that, if you take other environmental issues, so to some extent we can manage. Why you need international organizations? Really, is there any advantage of having international organizations? So Revati is saying to make countries responsible. And someone is saying for cooperation and funding. Someone from Trichy, global goals, environment is interconnected. Nature doesn't have boundaries. Super, exactly, great. Okay, so developing countries involve a lot in industrialization, which will have adverse impact on environment. So it is necessary to have environmental organization to monitor. So Arvind is saying developing countries alone involved in lot of industrialization. Sharing of knowledge and technology, others is saying. Lakshmi Raja is saying, Lakshmi Raja to maintain global climate change. Okay, thank you. See, before going to this topic, again another brief history. The entire world, okay, till I think 12th century, 11th century, 12th century, all scientists or all scholars, they believed that, or all the explorers, they believed that world is flat, earth is flat. But only in the 11th or 12th century, they conclude that the entire earth is spherical shape. And after that, continuous explorations were conducted. And in 19th century, actually till 19th century or till early 20th century or late of 18th century, sorry, 19th century, even if you take Darwin theory, almost all geographers and scientists, they scientifically proved that nature is the only determining factor of human activities. Only because of nature, whatever human is doing, it is purely based on nature. Okay, so human is not, he is not determining by himself. All these actions of human is not determined by human, rather than it is nature. So this is the theory. So many theories were proposed, okay, till end of 19th century or 18th century during that time. So this part of this school of thoughts, like the environment alone determining everything, that the school of thought is called environmental determinism. So previous generations till 19th century, they believed that we cannot function against nature. Okay, but a French scholar, Vidal La Blache, BLACHE, VIDAL, Vidal La Blache, he only proposed a new concept called possibilism. Possibilism means human can determine his actions, okay, through technology. So through his innovations, he can act against nature. So this is kind of a new concept emerged in 20th century. And slowly, so many institutions and scholars, they started proving this. They try to prove this. That is, human can act against nature. Okay, and human can do anything against nature. So that created a rift. Okay, one side, some scholars were saying like, no, this is actually dangerous. If you protect nature, nature will protect you. This is another. This is one side of view. Another is no, it is not necessarily like that. See, we can develop technologies, new technologies. With that, we can survive. Even if you go against nature, we can survive. So this is the another school of thought. So one side is environmentalism, okay, or environmental determinism. Another side, possibilism. So this two school of thoughts emerged on 19th and 20th century, and both they proved continuously that their theories are correct over a period of time. And in 1970s and 80s, okay, continuous research conducted, because in 1960s and 70s itself, the international climatological scientific community, they found that there is some changing pattern in world climate. Okay. So what happened? They started conducting some research. And in 1960s and 70s, initially in their research, they found that the changing pattern of global climate is due to natural phenomena. Natural phenomena means, say for example, if you take the Earth history, geological history or atmospheric history of Earth, millions years once there will be changing pattern of world climate. Okay, once in millions years, maybe 2 million years, 3 million years, or 5 million years. So periodically there will be changing nature of world climate due to natural phenomena. Say for example, before 10,000 years we had ice age. Okay, you might be knowing there are some Hollywood movies, no? So ice age was there. After that, due to warming, ice melted, and now we have this present age. So these kind of changing will happen naturally in Earth. Okay. So the international scientific community, they originally believed that, so this kind of changing pattern is due to natural phenomena or natural course of action. But further studies conducted. Okay. So further, again, the same line about world climatological change. So further studies conducted, and later they surprised that no, this is not due to natural one. This is purely man-made disaster. So what man-made disaster? Since Industrial Revolution, that is before almost 200 years before, since Industrial Revolution, the continuous burning of fossil fuel led to emission of greenhouse gases. Okay, burning of oil and coal. These two fossil fuels that led to emission of greenhouse gases, and basic tendency of greenhouse gases are easily it will allow incoming solar radiation. Okay, it will allow incoming solar radiation. That is insolation. Incoming solar radiation means insolation. And incoming solar radiation is a short wave radiation. Easily it can travel into Earth atmosphere. After reaching the surface, according to the heat budget of the Earth, whatever heat we are receiving, we are sending back. So after reaching here, it will be sent back to atmosphere in the name of terrestrial radiation. Okay, the terrestrial radiation is long wave radiation. Now the basic tendency of terrestrial radiation is, the greenhouse gases is easily it will capture, it will trap the outgoing terrestrial radiation. It will not allow easily. So that led to heating up of lower atmosphere of Earth atmosphere that resulted in global warming. Global warming led to climate change. So the international scientific community proved scientifically this. According to Kyoto Protocol, there are 6 greenhouse gases, okay, including water vapor. So water vapor has also has tendency of trapping heat in the lower atmosphere, like carbon dioxide and methane. Okay, see, in this is the development. Not only this, see, what are the other global environmental issues? Can you text me? What was that proposed by Vidal Blache? See, Vidal Blache, he proposed new concept called possibilism. Possibilism means humans are having endless possibilities. Whatever he wanted to do, he can do. Environment cannot determine human actions. So that is the opposite view of environmentalism. Okay. Depletion of ozone layer, ocean pollution, coral bleaching, wildfire, climate change. Okay. Species becoming endangered and extinct. Ranjani, super. What happens after burning a fossil fuel? See, if you burning a fossil fuel means, what is fossil? That is whatever you are getting like coal and oil. So these fossil fuels, if you burn this, it will emit greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases. And these greenhouse gases will be settled in lower atmosphere. Okay, lower atmosphere means like from Earth's surface only for a few kilometers. So this greenhouse gases character is easily it will allow incoming solar radiation. Every day we are getting solar radiation, right? Easily solar radiation will enter into Earth. And while coming into Earth's surface, it will come in the form of short wave. But after reaching here, while going back, it will become long wave radiation. And the basic character of the greenhouse gases are it will capture this long wave radiation. So that resulted in, as you continuously capturing heat, then what will happen? The lower atmosphere will get heated. So that resulted in global warming. That resulted in climate change. Okay, the next is acid rain, super, drought and flood, forest fire, oil spill, land degradation, collapse of food chain, extinction of certain species, burning of fossil fuel, increasing population. Oh, increasing population itself, environmental issue. Okay, extinction of species, global warming, water scarcity, soil degradation. Okay, super. See, uh, just read this news. So it again, plastic is proving to be everywhere in the sea. During a dive to the bottom of Mariana Trench, that see Victor Vescovo claimed to have found a plastic bag, and it's not even the first time. It's the third time plastic has been documented in deepest explored part of the ocean. At what depth? 35,000 feet. Okay. See, this is the situation right now. Okay. See, two news recently, that is last year in 2018-19, actually shocked the entire world. One is the deepest part of ocean, they found plastic. What do you mean? That is, okay, see, the meaning is no place is free from, that is, no ocean is free from, no part of the ocean is free from plastic. And other news is, that is very interesting, one of the remotest island, yes, actually, this is the Henderson Island. This is called Henderson Island. This is uninhabited island. It means no native population. Okay, no population at all. Okay, the beaches of World Heritage listed Henderson Island in the Pitcairn group of South America contain estimated 37 million items of debris, together weighing 17 tons. Okay, remotest island. Remotest island means okay. Just to see this. Okay, this is uninhabited island. Where this is located means just think about the level of pollution. See, it is so many thousand, close to 4 to 5,000 or 7,000 kilometers from South America. And if you take from Australia, again it is more than 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers. And again, if you take from northern part, it will maybe around 15,000 kilometers from north. And the southern part is Antarctica. Okay, in this place, remotest place, just imagine 13 million pieces of plastic. It is uninhabited island. Okay, that is in Southern Ocean. See, the Southern Ocean is this region. This is actually, and one more important information is, the most roughest sea in the world is the Southern Ocean. Okay, you might be knowing about Golden Globe race. Very interesting. It's not related to subject. So this is how you have to navigate. Okay. Abhilash Tomi, I think he is the first Indian to win this Golden Globe race. He was rescued from Indian Ocean nearly 1,900 nautical mile, close to 4,000 kilometers. Now I'll tell you the story. See, Golden Globe race, this is actually something interesting. You have to, that is lonely, this is a solo race, okay? Generally, if you take the sea level here in the Southern Ocean, that is if you take the Southern Ocean, okay, just to see here, the wind velocity will be very high, and if you take waves, okay, generally it will be more than 8 to 9 feet. Always it will be more than 9 feet. Okay, just you see here, this is the measurement. Okay, meter. Blue color means up to dark blue, it is up to 2 meter. But red and dark red means it is up to 9 meter. Always in the southern region, because there is no land mass, so wind velocity will be very high. Because of that, the wave height will be 27 to 30 feet height. Okay, 27 to 30 feet height. So in this rough sea, there will be solo race. Okay, there will not be any assistance. You have to survive by your own. So that is called Golden Globe race. See, when people were traveling across this, they found that actually they collected sample waters from remotest places on the earth, that is in the ocean. They concluded that the level of microplastic is everywhere. Whatever we have level of microplastic in the nearest coast, that is near to any country, the same level of microplastics are there even in remotest place, remotest islands. So to that extent, our earth or the oceans are polluted. Okay. So in this context, what happened? See, continuous studies are conducted about climate change, and one more important news is last year. So last year in April, we got news 1 million species. 1 million species means it is not like 10,000 elephants or 500 tiger. It is not like that. 1 million different species are going to become extinct. Totally across the world, it is estimated that we have 8 million species, different species. Among these 8 million, we are going to lose 1 million different species in coming years. Okay, see, recently a report was published under United Nations in which it was mentioned that we are going to lose 1 million. This is very good article. If time permits, you go through that. See, this is considered as sixth mass extinction. Okay, sixth mass extinction. Already you know that, right? So sixth mass extinction already it started. Previously, okay, so actually who published this report means Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Service. Very, very important. Please note it down. We may expect question from that. Till now, UPSC not yet asked. Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform. Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Service. Okay. So this is the the agency which published a report. So they mentioned like we are going to lose 1 million different species. Very interesting information is this is sixth mass extinction. No, all previous 5 mass extinctions took place only because of natural causes, natural reasons. The last one, fifth mass extinction, was that is many experts think so-called mass extinctions event only the sixth in the last half billion years is already underway. It already started mass extinction. We are going to lose. And the most recent saw the end of Cretaceous period some 66 million years ago when 10-kilometer wide asteroid strike wiped out most life forms. That is 50% of life forms were destroyed because 10-kilometer wide asteroid attacked Earth. And scientists estimate that Earth is today home to some 8 million distinct species. Majority of them insects. That is very important. Only because of them, see, if insects are wiped out, simply human species will be gone. That's all. Human cannot survive. And see, another interesting story is the international scientists already they decided that probably in another 20 to 30 years, honey bees will be wiped out because of human activities. The continuous use of pesticide, insecticide in agriculture and climate change and global warming may lead to the extinction of honeybees. That's the reason Walmart Corporation, you know Walmart Corporation, right? So they created artificial honeybee. There's some machines, okay, and they got patent for that. Okay, so hereafter, once honeybee is naturally wiped out, then we are going to use artificial honeybee. It will behave same like honeybee. So we can operate. The Walmart honeybees can be operated with the use of battery and remote control. Okay. So this is the thing taking place. Okay. See, this is another interesting information. Please note it down. Sometimes there are possible for the same information. They can ask the same information. The drop in sheer number is even more dramatic with wild mammal biomass, their collective weight down by 82%. Okay. Human and livestock accounts for more than 95% of mammal biomass, the total weight on the earth. Okay, it is actually the wildlife mammal biomass, their collective weight reduced by 82%. The past 10,000 years, the wildlife, the weight, okay, their biomass weight reduced by 82%. And now more than 95% of weight is by this one, human and cattle, livestock.
A new study says more than a dozen wild bee species critical to pollinating everything from blueberries to apples are on the
Yeah, audio இது பண்ணுமா? Okay.
நான் கண்டென்ட் ஷேர் பண்ணிருக்கேன். வீடியோ ப்ளே பண்ணும்போது மட்டும் சொல்லிடுங்க.
அப்படியா? Okay. வரல? So we have diversity of honeybees, wild bees.
Understand if the document
more than a decade across the years.
Sure, okay. See, in 2010, 10 years before itself, United Nations warned that mass extinction. Okay. And because of that, UPSC asked a question about mass extinctions. Okay. Okay, come to this. See, this is the sequence of the events that took place under United Nations. The first one is, see, the international scientific community, they discussed after the debate, okay, they concluded that the ozone depletion is the major reason for global warming. Okay. So the emission of ozone depleting substances, okay, that led to depletion of ozone layer. So this is the primary reason, and followed by global warming. So global warming led to climate change. This climate change led to mass extinction. This is actually sequence of events. So apart from ozone depletion, the other factors of global warming is burning of fossil fuels and greenhouse gases. Okay. So this is the story. Okay. 10,000 years before, we had just on the earth, okay, if you take the weight of vertebrate land animals, okay, the weight of entire vertebrate land animals, it actually human species contributed for only 1%. Wild animal contributed for 99%. Yep. When 10,000 years before. But today, 32% of weight is contributed by humans, remaining 67% by livestock, and only 1% by wild animal. We have eliminated 98% of wild animals over past 10,000 years. Okay. Actually, the famous the statement is, with respect to marine pollution, 8 billion people says just only one bottle. We found some plastic bottles, no? So 8 billion people, they are saying just only one bottle. Then think about how many plastic bottles will be thrown into ocean. 8 billion bottles. So this is the level of pollution or level of contribution, our contribution for nature. Okay, in this situation, in 1960s itself, the international community question is, sir, but NASA said when an asteroid about 12 kilometer can harm to Earth, then how come 10 kilometer asteroid harm to us? Lakshmi Raja, I don't know what this one NASA said. So I have to go through that, then only I can comment on this. So what is the artificial honeybee? See, Walmart Corporation, right? Walmart is a MNC, American company. Walmart created artificial honeybee. Okay, so it can act like natural honeybee. Okay, so in 1960s itself, when the international scientific community worried about the climate change and global warming and all, the international leaders, they discussed about some global level actions for addressing environmental issues. Not only climate change, particularly pollution and environmental degradation and indiscriminate use of natural resources. So all are related to this environmental consequences, environmental degradation. So what happened in late 60s in United Nations General Assembly, resolution was passed in which it was accepted by all countries that in near future there will be global level actions for addressing environmental issues. So that was the major development in 1960s. And the other important thing is this book, okay, Silent Spring, written by Rachel Carson. She wrote about, in this book, Rachel Carson, she wrote about the negative consequences of, that is environmental negative consequences of using chemical, pesticide and insecticide. Elaborately, she discussed about this. Elaborately, she discussed about the negative consequences of using chemical, pesticide and insecticide. Okay, so what happened? In 68 only, 62 or 68, this book was published. This book created global level wave. Okay, what wave? Environmentalism. Global level environmentalism wave was created. First wave of global environmentalism. It was created by so many events, but major factor was by this book. First wave of global environmentalism. Global environmentalism means like global level awareness created for protecting environment, and for that some movements were started. This is the first. The next development is in Europe there is a think tank called Club of Rome. Club of Rome. The Club of Rome in 1972 they published a report. The report is called Limits to Growth. Club of Rome is the international think tank based in Europe. They published a report, that is their first report in 1972. Okay. First report was published, that is called Limits to Growth. This is report, or it can be called as theory also. What this report is saying, it is very simple. If we exploit natural resources with the current pace, okay, if we exploit natural resources with current pace means like speed of 1960s and 70s. If we exploit natural resources with current pace, then by end of 2100, actually 1972 itself, it was warned like that by Limits to Growth report. By end of 2100, entire world will collapse. Entire world will collapse due to environmental degradation. Environmental degradation. Okay. So if you take the publications of Club of Rome, there are some problems. The first report is called Limits to Growth report. So the report says if we exploit natural resources with current pace, then by end of 2000, the entire world will collapse due to natural resources. Whatever they warned in 1972, actually now it is happening. Okay. Already UPSC asked a question, I think 2016, they asked a question about Club of Rome. See, these are the some major events during late 1960s and early 1970s. So in this situation, United Nations conducted their first summit. United Nations first summit for environment was conducted in 1972. 1972. United Nations first summit on environment was conducted. Once the global level wave started for protecting environment, it started. Okay. So the first copy this slide, I will tell you. Just copy this. So these are the United Nations summit conducted for environment, the major summits. Major summits. Okay, shall we move? See what happened in 1972, actually late 1960s, in General Assembly, resolution was passed. Okay. On 1972, the first summit was conducted. Where it was conducted? It was conducted in Stockholm. Stockholm in Sweden. It was the first summit of United Nations for Environment. It is famously called Stockholm Conference. Stockholm Conference. In the Stockholm Conference, all then members of United Nations, they sent their delegations. Okay, all members of United Nations, they sent their delegations, and India was the only country in the world represented by its Prime Minister, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So what do you mean? India took environmental issues more seriously, and Prime Minister herself represented India in Stockholm Conference. So that's the reason in the United Nations, world's first United Nations Environment Summit, India became co-host country in Sweden. India was co-host. Okay. Then what happened in 1972 summit, they discussed so many things, and finally it was concluded that there should be one global environmental organizations for dealing with all global environmental issues. There should be one international organization to deal with all global environmental issues. It should function under United Nations. It should function under United Nations. So this is the decision. So accordingly, in 1972 itself, in Stockholm Conference, an exclusive international organization was established under United Nations to deal with all global environmental issues, that is United Nations Environment Program. United Nations Environment Program. It was established after Stockholm Conference. Stockholm Conference. Okay. So this is the nodal agency. Okay. UNEP. See, now if you take UNEP, their functioning, the domaining, the functioning of the domains, okay, it varies from climate change to disaster management to then this one, public human health. Okay, there are so many domains they are working. Now, Environment Program, United Nations Environment Program is the nodal agency for administering all global environmental issues. The first major development was, 4 people asked, can you show previous slide? Previous slide is this one. Is it okay? Shall we move? So the United Nations environment functions are related to so many areas, not only related to environment alone. Okay, they are functioning in disaster management, they are functioning in global public health. There are so many things. We will discuss later one by one. And in 1972, this summit was conducted, no? And UNEP was established. The first major challenge was ozone depletion. Ozone depletion. As already we discussed, ozone depletion was considered as a major reason for global warming. And indiscriminate emission of ozone depleting substances. Any example for ozone depleting substances? ODS. Sir, ask friends to take a screenshots of a slide so that they can refer. Yes, if you want, you can take screenshot. Otherwise, I can share in Telegram channel. Not an issue. So, what about the industrial activities taking place in animal enclosure in India, including Vedandangal, even after so many environment threats? Why government is giving approval for this? Ranjani, because of business lobby. Okay, business lobby is unimaginably powerful. Okay, you cannot fight against them. What is the difference between summit, commission, and conference? We will discuss. Pujita, we will discuss. See, summit is meeting. Okay, and the conference also meeting only. A commission is like it is consists of group of people deployed for particular purpose. Okay, so CFC, exactly. So CFC is major ozone depleting substance. See what happened in 1980s, actually, early 1980s was peak of, okay, very peak of ozone depletion. After that, slowly the level of depletion started coming down. There was a depletion, but level of the speed of depletion starting coming down. The 1980s was peak of, okay, it was peak of ozone depletion, and slowly now it is coming down. So what happened in 1985? The major development, the first major agreement was signed in United Nations Environment Program for protecting ozone layer. What was the name of agreement? Any idea? What was the name of the agreement? Can you text me? Kyoto Protocol? No. Paris Agreement? No. Arvind, Paris, it is not Paris. Paris signed in 2015. I am saying 1985. Montreal? No. So Pujida is saying Montreal. It is not Montreal, Pujida. Montreal later only. Any other name? Wow, super. Who is that? 20944041. This is called Vienna Convention, 1985. Vienna Convention. The purpose of Vienna Convention is to reduce or to prevent use and production of and emission of ozone depleting substances, particularly CFC. Particularly CFC. Okay. Actually, convention means there is difference between a convention and protocol. Convention means it is just an initiative and not binding. It is just an initiative and not binding. Convention means it is just an initiative and not binding. Convention means just an initiative, not binding. Whereas generally protocols will be established either under convention or separately. Protocol means it is compulsorily binding. If any party is accepting protocol, then it should follow the guidelines given in the protocol. So convention means just an initiative, just a first step. Whereas convention means just an initiative, not binding. Protocol means it is compulsorily binding. Compulsorily binding. So in 1985, Vienna Convention was signed with objective of protecting ozone layer. Since this is the convention, even though it was accepted by many countries, but there was no visible effort. Okay, there was no concrete evidence for saying that countries have reduced ozone depleting substances emission. Okay, so the Vienna Convention, to some extent, we can say that it failed to address or it failed to protect ozone layer. Vienna Convention failed because of its nature. Okay, this is a convention, so you cannot force them. Under convention, you cannot force them. So what happened? 2 years later, in 1987, as you mentioned, Montreal Protocol was signed. So Montreal Protocol was signed under Vienna Convention. This is coming under Vienna Convention. Montreal is coming under Vienna Convention. Okay. Slowly one by one, many countries have joined in Montreal Protocol. Okay. And this Montreal Protocol, at one point of time, it became universal treaty accepted by almost all members of United Nations. All members of United Nations. This is protocol, that is, it is compulsory, and same time it became universal treaty. Universal treaty. It was accepted by everyone. It reached universality. Okay. Because of that, after 1990s, slowly all the countries, they started reducing this ozone depleting substances, particularly CFC emission. CFC emission considerably reduced. Considerably reduced. Okay, because this is a protocol, and since this is the protocol, it is mandatory, and same time it was accepted by all the countries. So what happened in 2014 and 15? During that time, a report was published by United Nations Environment Program. UNEP published a report based on these studies conducted by international scientists. In the report, it was mentioned that ozone layer is gradually, it is returning to its normal position. It is coming back to normal position. Slowly it is coming back to normal position. Okay. The level of the peak of ozone depletion was 1980s, early 80s. Okay. That report says that by middle of this century, probably 2040 to 50, during that time, ozone layer will come to its pre-1980 level. It means almost it will come to its previous position, normal position. By mid of this century, ozone layer will come to its normal position. That is pre-1980 level. Okay, so 1980 was peak. Okay, slowly it is coming back and it will reach to this level. So that is the reason this Montreal Protocol is called as one of the most successful environmental agreement in the world. Most successful, one of the most successful environmental agreement in the world. Montreal Protocol. Why it is most successful? Because it is one is protocol and it reached universality. So United Nations, so this is the success story. Okay, in 2014, United Nations itself, this UN Environment Program website, in that it is mentioned like ozone. See, just imagine, without, this is very important point. Okay, without Montreal Protocol and associated agreements, atmospheric level of ozone depleting substances would have increased tenfold by 2050. Okay. According to global models, Montreal Protocol will have prevented 2 million cases of skin cancer annually by 2030. Okay. So this is the success story of, that is, there are positive indications that the ozone layer is on track to recovery towards the middle of the century. The Montreal Protocol, one of the world's most successful environmental treaty, had protected the stratospheric ozone layer and avoided enhanced UV radiation reaching the Earth's surface. Okay, so Montreal Protocol is very, 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 very important. Okay, and it reached universality. See what happened after this success story of protecting ozone layer in 2017 recently. Okay, in 2017 an amendment was introduced to Montreal. Okay, an amendment was introduced to Montreal. What is the amendment? That is, see, along with CFC, one more pollutant will be included under Montreal. Along with CFC, one more pollutant. Actually, that pollutant is not major reason for ozone depletion, but it is potential greenhouse gas, that is HFC, hydrofluorocarbon. Once hydrofluorocarbon let into atmosphere, once if it mixed with atmosphere, easily you cannot eliminate that. Easily you cannot eliminate that because its lifespan is very high, very long lifespan. The lifespan of CFC, it is not like other gases. It will stay in atmosphere a long time, but it is potential greenhouse gas and it is the major culprit for the global warming. So what happened in 2017 under Montreal Protocol, all members of the Vienna Convention and the United Nations Environment Program, they agreed for including HFC under Montreal. Why? Because it is most potential greenhouse gas. If it is brought under Montreal, then same like CFC, HFCs will be wiped out. It will be eliminated. Okay. So the usage of HFC will be reduced. If it is reduced, then we can reduce global warming. Why? Because Montreal is the protocol and it reached universality. Once the HFC is brought under Montreal, definitely we can eliminate HFC from atmosphere. So that is the reason this amendment was introduced in Montreal Protocol. That amendment name is called Kigali Agreement or Kigali Amendment. Kigali Agreement or Amendment. Kigali Agreement or Kigali Amendment. Okay. Are you clear? Now both CFC as well as HFC both are under Montreal Protocol. Montreal Protocol. So Montreal is most successful environmental treaty in the world. And headquarters for UNEP is located in Nairobi, Kenya. Okay. Nairobi, Kenya's headquarters for United Nations Environment Program. United Nations Environment Program. Are you clear with Montreal Protocol? How did they reduce CFC? See, in Reason is CFCs were emitted through the AC and refrigerators. Now through technology advancement, these usages were reduced. So what about Doha Amendment? Doha Amendment is related to Kyoto Protocol, not related to Montreal. I will tell you regarding Doha. Kiranmai asked headquarter. Headquarter of UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, is at Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi, Kenya. Shall we move next? Okay. So 1972 Stockholm Conference, in which UNEP was established, and under UNEP, major treaty was negotiated first. That is in 1985. It was Vienna Convention. Because of its nature, since this is an initiative and not binding, even though the convention was accepted by many countries, but there was no major effort. And because of that, under Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol was signed. So this Montreal Protocol was accepted by almost all the countries, and they accordingly they reduced the emission of CFC. That resulted in protection of ozone layer. Because of that, it is claimed that this Montreal is most successful environmental agreement. And in this Montreal in 2017, an agreement was introduced. Through the agreement, along with the CFC, HFC also included. Even though HFC is not a ODS, this is a potential greenhouse gas. Okay, and it was included under Montreal, so that we can ensure that HFC emission will be reduced. So it will lead to the reduction of global warming. Okay, so this is the one aspect. Next is agreement and protocol is same. So agreement and conventions are same, we can say, but protocol, see, sometimes it is vary. Okay, it is based on the purpose. Okay, next is in 1987. 1987, there was another summit. That summit is called, what is the name of the summit? World Commission on Environment and Development. Okay, World Commission on Environment and Development, 1987. In that summit, the major outcome was very, very important. A commission was constituted under United Nations. That commission is called Brundtland Commission. Okay, Brundtland was, she was Prime Minister of some Scandinavian country, I think Norway or Sweden. Okay, she was Prime Minister of some Scandinavian country. Under her leadership, a commission was constituted. This commission, Brundtland Commission, submitted a report in United Nations, which was published in 1987. Brundtland Commission submitted a report, and it was published in 1987. This report, 1987 report, simply called Brundtland Report, which was, the Brundtland Report was the first one to introduce the concept of sustainable development. Who developed the concept of sustainable development means Brundtland Report. Brundtland Report is the first one to propose the concept of sustainable development. The title of the report is Our Common Future. Our Common Future. Okay. So 1987 summit, there was no major development. This is the only one development. Okay. Brundtland Report, the Brundtland Commission submitted a report in the name of Our Common Future. In that report, new concept was, a new theme was introduced in the name of sustainable development. What do you mean by sustainable development? Any idea? What do you mean by sustainable development? Sustainable development. Any idea? Inclusive growth, long lasting growth. Okay. Anything else? Development that can be carried to future. Okay. Development that sustains for long period of time. Okay. Arvind. Others saying using resources in a way to preserve it for future generation. Super. Development without compromising future need. Super. Exactly. Great, great, great. Balance of nature and development. Not only for our generation, also for future generation. Murali Krishna, using resources with care. Resources should be used in such a way that it is sufficient for now and is enough for future. Super. So leaving something for future generation, giving the same resource for future generation. Super. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. The concept of sustainable development was given by Brundtland report. So according to this report, meeting the needs of present generation without compromising the needs of future generation is called sustainable development. Okay, that word became more famous only after 1987. Meeting the needs of present generation without compromising the needs of future generation. So this is one small outcome of 1987 summit, but 20 years later, that is 20 years after Stockholm Conference, in 1992, major development took place. To review Stockholm Conference, another summit was conducted. To review Stockholm Conference, another summit was conducted in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro of Brazil in 1992. Very, 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 very important summit. Rio summit is very, very important. Rio de Janeiro. See, this summit is also called Rio Summit or also called Earth Summit. Either Rio Summit or Earth Summit. Okay. See, in this summit, some major developments. First, I'll tell you. Already told you, originally the international scientific community, they believed that the present global warming and climate change is due to natural causes. But later, in 1980s and all, they established and they scientifically proved clearly in 1980s they proved that this is not due to natural reasons. It is purely due to human activities, anthropogenic activities, that is particularly due to burning of fossil fuel. So this is the conclusion finally. Accordingly, so now the all countries, and there was actually some negative consequences of climate change in 1980s and 90s itself. So in this situation, the world countries, they decided to take some measures or some actions against this climate change. So accordingly, based on the debate and discussions, the first development of Rio Conference was the signing of an agreement in the name of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Very, 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 very important. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Very, very important for UPSC. UNFCCC was signed in Rio Conference. Rio Conference. This is the convention. Okay. What do you mean by convention? Sir, what is the title of Brundtland report? Title of Brundtland report is Our Common Future. So convention means initiative, not binding. Superb, exactly. So this is the convention. So because of that, it is not binding. Okay, it is just an initiative. Okay. The other developments in the Rio summit were another convention was signed that is called Convention on Biological Diversity, simply called CBD. Convention on Biological Diversity. Very, very, very important. Convention on Biological Diversity. Convention on Biological Diversity. That is, in the context of habitat loss and climate change, there was loss to biodiversity also. So to protect biological diversity, another convention was signed. Next outcome is Agenda 21. Agenda 21. What do you mean by 21 here? See, Agenda 21 is, it is a global plan of action or global action plan for promoting sustainable development. Global action plan for promoting sustainable development. So in this context, what do you mean by 21? What do you mean by 21? Year 2021, 21 SDG goals or 21 goals. Pujida, excellent. Arvind, excellent. It is Agenda 21 means agenda for 21st century. Agenda for 21st century. So what is the agenda? That is, there should be 3 levels of action plans or plan of actions for sustainable development. 3 levels of action plans for sustainable development. According to Agenda 21, there should be 3 levels of action plan. First one is global level. Next one is national level. And finally, local level. Global level, national level, local level. So there should be 3 levels of 3 levels of action plan for promoting sustainable development. That is called Agenda 21. There are some themes that are all not important for UPSC. Okay, UPSC asked, I think 2017, they asked a question about Agenda 21. Okay, and apart from that, there is one more convention was initiated in the Rio conference, that is called United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. So these are the conventions. There are some other developments or some other outcomes of Rio conference. Next is Forest Principle, Rio Declaration, but that and all not much important for our prelims or mains. Okay, so one is UNFCCC, second one is CBD, third one is UNCCD, fourth one is Agenda 21. These are the outcomes of Rio Summit. Okay, can we revise? 1972 Stockholm Conference, what was the outcome? That is establishment of UNEP. The 1987 UN Conference, what was the outcome? That is submission of Brundtland report on concept of sustainable development. Then in 1992 Rio Summit, what was the outcome? What are the major outcomes? One is signing of UNFCCC, then signing of CBD, then signing of UNCCD, and next one Agenda 21. Okay. Now we will discuss one by one. See, if you take any environmental agreement or treaty, even though it is signed in 1 year, it will be, okay, generally that will be implemented only after accepted by majority of countries. Generally, signing year will be one year, it will be different, and implementation year will be different. Okay, it should be accepted by majority of countries. Say, for example, you are initiating on an environment agreement, global environment agreement, and it is accepted just by 1 or 2 countries, or just 5 countries, and others not bothered about that. So, will there be any meaning for this agreement? No, there will not be any meaning. It should be accepted by minimum majority of countries, then only it can be implemented. So, accordingly, even though the UNFCCC was signed in 1992, it was implemented in 1994. 1994. It was implemented in 1994. UNFCCC was implemented in 1994. Okay, this is the convention. And this convention is administered by a mechanism called COP. COP is the administrative authority of, not only this, if you take any environmental conventions or agreement, COP will be the nodal agency, administrative authority. What do you mean by COP? Any idea? So once please expand UNCCD. UNCCD means United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. That we will discuss later. The objective and all. First we will discuss UNFCCC. Superb. Conference of Parties. Superb. Exactly. Yes, Sivaranjani. So, Conference of Parties is the administrative authority. Okay. So, Conference of Parties. See, according to this UNFCCC, compulsorily every year Conference of Parties to be conducted. Conference of Parties means that is the administrative authorities, they should conduct annual summit. Annual summit for this UNFCCC. This is compulsory. Okay. Was UNCED for reviewing Stockholm? Yes. See, in 1994 it was implemented. In 1995 first COP, no major outcome. 1996 second COP, okay, COP2, again no outcome. The third COP, COP3 for UNFCCC, it was conducted in a city called Kyoto in Japan, 1997. 1997, third conference of parties, third annual summit for UNFCCC was conducted in city called Kyoto. In Kyoto, after long discussion, a decision was taken that under this convention, what convention? United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, a protocol to be signed. So that protocol will be called as Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol to be signed. Actually, it was decided that there should be some action for addressing climate change. That was the motive. And for that, finally, a Kyoto Protocol was signed. Why other COP failed? See, not failed, but there was no conclusion, or there was no agreed decision, there was no consensus. among the members regarding the climate change. Okay. Then, see what Kyoto is saying, it is very simple. According to Kyoto Protocol, the entire world will be divided into 3 or 4 group of countries. The entire world will be divided into 3 or 4 groups. So based on their responsibility. Based on their responsibility. In your opinion, between two group of countries, developing countries and developed countries, who is more responsible for present climate change? Any idea? Who is more responsible for climate change? Developed, developing, Arvind and another someone, 3, 4 friends, they're saying developing. Yalini is saying innovation. Both. Someone is saying both. I'm asking comparatively, who is having more responsibility? Actually, both are responsible only. Exactly. Underdeveloped. Oh my God. Underdeveloped? No. So it is purely developed countries. Developed means industrially and economically advanced, well advanced developed countries. Why? Because just imagine, almost for 250 years, they exploited or they burned fossil fuel. Only Western European nations, Japan, Russia, and the United States, Australia. So these countries alone, they burned fossil fuel almost for more than 200 years. But if you take developing countries, actually developing countries, they got independence only after Second World War. Okay. So before Second World War, almost the entire world was colonized by Western Europe. So only after Second World War, that is only after 1945, they got independence. If you take Indian case, when we started full-fledged industrialization, only after 1980s. Same like India, all developing countries, they started the industrial development only after 1970s or 80s. So their level of contribution for global climate change is very, very less when compared to United States and Western countries. Okay. So developed countries are more responsible, but now developing countries are equally responsible now at present. Okay, like India, China, like countries, we are also one of the largest emitters of greenhouse gases. Okay, leave it. Now, what Kyoto mechanism is saying, very simple. According to Kyoto, entire world will be divided into 3 or 4 groups. What are the groups? First group is called Annex 1. Second is called Annex 2. Third is called developing countries. Okay. Fourth one is called least developed countries. Or sometimes these two are clubbed into one. First one is Annex 1. Second is Annex 2. Third one is developing. Fourth one is underdeveloped, that is least developed. Or sometimes third and fourth will be combined into one. It will be combined. Revati is saying developed countries polluted more and they damage the environment more and it impacts developing and underdeveloped countries more. Yes. Okay. Okay. See, Annex 1 countries means there are more than 40 countries in Annex 1 category. They are industrially, economically well advanced or developed countries. Well developed countries. Industrially, economically well developed countries. Second is, along with the developed countries, there is one more group of countries. They are called EIT. EIT means economy in transition. Economies in transition. In EIT means economies in transition. One is developed countries. Next group of countries are in transition position. Transition position. What transition position? They are moving from developing country status to developed country status. So their position in transition, in between. In between. So accordingly, in Annex 1, there are more than 40 countries. I think 43, 42 or 43 countries. Annex 2. Annex 2 can be called as Annex 2 can be called as non-EIT OECD countries. Non-EIT OECD countries. Non-EIT OECD countries. Okay, I will tell you. I will explain. See, it's very important. See, EIT means economies in transition. We know who are all developed countries. Developed countries are like United States, okay, then Australia, Canada, Britain, France, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Luxembourg, Italy, Japan. Okay, so these are all, these kind of countries can be called as developed countries. Economies in transition means their position is in between. They cannot be categorized either developing or not this one, developed. Okay, so it can be categorized as economies in transition. Example, one is Russia, then all former Soviet Union states, like we take Czech Republic, okay, then Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, okay, then Poland, Slovakia, Slovenia. Okay. So these countries are called as EIT states. See, this OECD means Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay, OECD is called as Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And this is one of the largest, see, this OECD is consist of, it composed of world largest economies. Close to 80% of world economy coming under OECD. Okay. In this OECD, there are two group of countries. One is developed countries, next one EITs. Okay. According to Kyoto Protocol, Annex 2 country means, Annex 2 means non-EIT members of OECD. So who are all non-EIT? Australia, Belgium, Canada, then Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Japan, Korea, Luxembourg, okay, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, then Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, United Kingdom, United States. So they are all developed states. So non-EIT members of OECD, that is called Annex 2 in Kyoto. Are you clear? So who is called Annex 1? Both developed as well as EIT. Here who is in Annex 2? Simply we can say they are developed states, only developed states. Okay, are you clear? Can you differentiate between Annex 1 and Annex 2 according to Kyoto? Clear or not? No. Sivaranjani? Should I repeat? Okay, Kiranmai is saying repeat once. Okay. Does non-EIT mean not industrially well developed but developed one? I couldn't get your question, CB others. Okay, I will repeat again. See, Annex 1 means, see, it is given in UNFCCC website. Okay. Annex 1 means parties include industrialized countries that were members of OECD, that is Organization for Economic Cooperation Development in 1992, plus countries with economies in transition. Okay, countries with economies in transition, including, that is, who are all economies in transition means like Russian Federation and Baltic states. Baltic states means like Latvia, Lithuania, East European nations, and Central and Eastern European states. Okay, they are called Annex 1. Okay, and Annex 2 means, it is very simple. Now, actually, simply we can say Annex 1 means developed and transition economies, developed countries and transition economies. Annex 2 party means consists of OECD members of Annex 1 but not the EIT party, not economies in transition. It means in OECD there are two group of countries. One is fully developed, next one in transition. Okay, this Annex 2, it says parties consist of OECD member. In OECD we have both developed and transition. It consists of OECD members of Annex 1 but not EIT. So you have to remove EIT. So it means only developed countries. Sivaranjani, are you clear now? Okay, thank you. So this is the classification. Superb question, very good question. Why is this difference in grouping of countries by international organizations, and why there is not a common methodology of grouping the countries? Our next question is, sir, why same group of developed countries are in two groups? Next is, sir, then USA comes under both Annex 1 and Annex 2. Sir, is industrial development the criteria to differentiate Annex 1 and Annex 2? CB others ask this question. All are very good questions. I'll tell you. I told you, I don't know how many of you noticed that word. Based on their responsibility, okay, based on their responsibility, world countries have been divided into 4 groups. What responsibility? based on their responsibility for climate change. I told you who is most responsible. Developed countries. Economies in transition, they are also responsible, but not that much of developed countries. Developing countries also responsible, but again their responsibility is very least. Okay, very, very less. So based on their responsibilities, actually under Kyoto Protocol, actually there is one terminology is there. Okay, very, very important terminology. This is addressing of climate change is responsibility of all countries. Okay, but at different levels of responsibility. Am I correct? Because developed countries, they should take more responsibility because they only polluted. Least developed countries, they cannot take any responsibility because they are not at all responsible for climate change. Okay, so that's the reason under Kyoto Protocol, there is one terminology called common but differentiated responsibility. Please note it down. Common but differentiated responsibility. Common but differentiated responsibility. It's called common but differentiated responsibility. Okay. See, so Annex 1, it consists of developed and EIT, Annex 2, non-EIT members of OECD, and developing countries and least developed countries. Okay. Now, what this Kyoto is saying, according to this Kyoto Protocol, Annex 1 states, okay, Annex 1 states they should reduce their greenhouse gas emission to 5.1 percentage of 1990 level by 2012, end of 2012. Okay. Annex 1 states, that is both industrially advanced and transition economies, they should, Kyoto Protocol is saying, okay, under Kyoto Protocol, there is a compulsion. There is a compulsion that Annex 1 states should reduce their greenhouse gas emission to 5.1 percentage of 1990 level by when? That is by 2012, end of 2012. End of 2012. End of 2012. So this is the target for Annex 1. Annex 1 countries should reduce their greenhouse gas emission to 5.1 percentage of 1990 level. Okay. Next, for Annex 2 states, Annex 2, that is industrially well developed states, they should provide financial support to developing countries. Developing countries. They should provide financial support to developing countries for reducing greenhouse gas emission. For reducing greenhouse gas emission. Okay. Very simple. The Annex 2 countries, they are also part of Annex 1. So one is they should reduce their greenhouse gas emission, and according to Kyoto Protocol, target is given only to annexed 2 countries. Okay, that is only annexed countries they have target, and developing countries and least developed countries they don't have target. Please understand, the developing countries voluntarily, if they are interested, they can reduce their greenhouse gas emission. No compulsion at all. Voluntarily, if they are interested, they can reduce, but no compulsion. Okay. Now, if any country is interested to reduce greenhouse gas emission voluntarily, it should be supported by whom? Annexed 2 countries. Financially, they should support developing countries for reducing greenhouse gas emission. Greenhouse gas emission. Revati asked a question, under which division does India come? India is a developing state, not EIT. We are developing. Only Russia and its former unions, okay, like Latvia, Lithuania, Hungary, Slovakia, Slovenia, okay, so they are coming under EIT. Won't Annex 1 countries support them? See, Annex 1 means it includes EIT. So EIT will not support financially. Only developed countries will support financially. Okay. So Annex 2 countries, they should provide financial support to developing countries for reducing this. And in the Kyoto Protocol, this is very important. In this Kyoto Protocol, there will be flexible mechanisms. Flexible mechanisms. Very, very important. Flexible mechanisms. Where is China in the list? China in the list of again developing country. Developed countries damaged environment and now in the name in climate change protection they stopped manufacturing in their own countries and shifted base to developing states. Now focus on the blame on developing countries like India. This may be exactly. Someone asked the question. Annex 1, well-developed countries, EIT, Annex 2, non-EIT OECD countries. Yes, correct. So how often is the status revised? Developing EIT? No, it is fixed one. Should China now be classified as EIT? No, it is developing only. But China is second largest economy. Yes, so what? Okay. Is India is getting any support? Yes, we are getting support. I will tell you. Okay. See, there is a mechanism called flexible mechanism. First is called clean development mechanism. Clean development mechanism. Second is called joint implementation. Joint implementation. Third is carbon credit or carbon trade. Carbon credit or carbon trade. So give me break for 2 minutes. So give me break for 5 minutes. Why suddenly break? Do you want break? Yalini is saying no. No break, huh? Okay. Someone told we always have break 5 minutes after 90 minutes. See, but in main examination, your exam duration is 3 hours. You cannot think even single second out of your question. Okay, then you cannot complete your paper. Okay. So is 5.1 reduction is for only developed countries, or it includes EIT also? See, in Annex 1, I'm saying Annex 1 countries have target of reducing greenhouse gas emission to 5.1%. 5.1%. Okay. So it includes developed as well as EIT. Okay. Are you clear? 2040653. Okay. So what is the first mechanism of Kyoto Protocol? I will tell you again. I will repeat mechanisms. Okay. Clean development mechanism. First one is called clean development mechanism. Clean development mechanism. Second one is called joint implementation. Second one is called joint implementation. Okay. Next one is called carbon credit or carbon trade. Carbon credit or carbon trade. See, please understand, to address climate change, a convention was signed in Rio Summit. Okay. Since this is the convention, there was no major development. Because of that, in 1997, under this convention, Kyoto Protocol was signed. So what are the major aspects of Kyoto Protocol means? Under Kyoto, entire world was divided into group of countries. Annex 1, which consists of developed and EIT. Annex 2, that is non-EIT members of OECD, then developing states and least developed. Now, Annex 1 countries, they have targets. Okay. So, for example, it is like traffic rule. Okay, we have traffic rules, right? We have so many traffic rules. In case, either due to your carelessness or due to some other circumstances, if you are violating the traffic rule, what will happen? You will be caught by traffic police and you will be penalized, right? You have to make penalty. That mechanism is called flexible mechanism. Okay. Flexible mechanism is just in case if any country is not able to reduce their greenhouse gas emission, then they can go for some payment option. That is called flexible mechanism. It is flexible. Flexible in the sense, either you can reduce your greenhouse gas emission or you can make payment. You can continue your emission, you can make payment. So this is the mechanism under Kyoto. If you violate the target, if you fail to achieve your target, then you have to make payment. So what is CDM? I'll tell you. Clean development mechanism means, okay, see, each and every developed countries, they have their own target, right? Am I correct? Each and every developed countries, they have their own target. In this situation, if anyone is exceeding their target, they have to make payment. How? See, actually, their target, their exceeding target, their exceeding emission should be offset somewhere else. Am I correct? Say, for example, Britain, that they have target of 100 million ton per annum. Okay, that is their emission limit. Suppose if they are exceeding this limit, there should be some compensation. Okay, so in this situation, what will happen? Say, for example, in any developing state, any developing country, if they are doing any carbon reduction project, say for example, metro rail is carbon reduction project. So classic example is Delhi Metro. Because of Delhi Metro, we reduced thousands of carbon dioxide emission. We reduced. Okay. Otherwise, they would have used private transport vehicles. So that would have led to emission of thousands of tons of carbon dioxide emission. And National Green India Mission, This is also carbon reduction project. Okay. So through Green India mission, we are expanding our forest cover through which we can observe carbon dioxide. So there are so many examples for carbon reduction projects. Okay, in developing states. So in this situation, if a country which exceeds their limit under Annex 1 or Annex 2, the developed countries alone, okay, only the Annex 2 countries, they should provide financial support. How? They should fund for carbon reduction project in developing country. Why they should make payment to developing country? There are two reasons. One is cost effective. Okay. So if the same carbon reduction project is implemented in developed country, cost may be twofold, threefold, fivefold, tenfold. It may be higher than developing country. So they can fund here. Another reason is, if developed country is not able to do any carbon sink project or carbon reduction project, then they can fund for developing state, provided if the developing state is voluntarily ready for reducing carbon dioxide emission. So this is called clean development mechanism. Are you clear? That is funding of a developed country to a developing country for carbon reduction project. Clean development mechanism. Next, joint implementation. Joint implementation. ஏப்பா இது ஆடியோ வீடியோ ப்ராப்ளமா என்ன இஷ்யூ இருக்கா? Sir, do we get international organization material from academy? I told you know in the class itself. Again, I am repeating. We will provide material. Kiranmai asked the second reason they can go to developing country. That is, if they are not able to do carbon reduction project in their own country due to any reason, they can go for a developing state. Lesmi Raja, when the book courier will reach? See, probably next week only we are dispatching. You will get in another 1 week. Okay, thank you. So we'll continue. So joint implementation. Next mechanism is joint implementation. Joint implementation means it is similar to CDM only, clean development mechanism. Okay, but only difference is, if one developed country is financing for carbon reduction project in another developed country, it is called joint implementation. That is, jointly they are implementing. If one developed country financing for carbon reduction project in another developed country, it will be called as joint implementation. Joint implementation. Okay. So these mechanisms are very important. You should know. So first is CDM. Second one is joint implementation. Third one, carbon credit. What is carbon credit? For example, if developed countries are exceeding their limit, they can get credit from developing countries. How? How they can get credit? That is, 1 metric ton equivalent of carbon dioxide will be quantified as 1 unit. Okay. In developing countries, 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide, 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide equivalent. Okay, it will be quantified as a 1 unit. This 1 unit will be traded in commodity exchange like commodity. Okay. So this can be purchased by developed countries. So in commodity exchange, it will be exchanged. It will be traded. So these three mechanisms are part of Kyoto Protocol. It is called flexible mechanism. So once again about joint implementation. So whether developed countries can choose to have a project in the developing countries which is not part of Kyoto. So all developing are part of Kyoto mainly. Annex 1 countries are developed, but they just have targets but not burden of funding developing countries. But Annex 2 countries being non-EIT members are spending cost of developing countries, it's collapsing. So Annex 1 countries are the developed, but they just have targets but not burden of funding developing countries. No, Annex 1 countries, in Annex 1 there are two countries, developed and EIT. Developed are part of Annex 2 also. So they have both the commitment, financial support as well as emission reduction. Okay, so what's the difference between clean development mechanism and joint implementation? I will repeat. See, clean development mechanism means implementing carbon reduction projects in developing countries and funded by developed country. Joint implementation means if one developed country is funding for carbon reduction project in another developed country, jointly implementing. See, in CDM, it is between one developed and developing. Here in joint implementation, it will be between two developed countries. Okay, so this is called flexible mechanism, which was established in 1997 under Kyoto Protocol. Okay, so this Kyoto was implemented in 2005 after long negotiations. It was implemented in 2005, and from this Kyoto Protocol, United States came out. US quit Kyoto. US is not party to Kyoto, but they are responsible for. Their responsibility is 25%, 1/4 of global emission in the entire history. It is by United States, a single country. But they left Kyoto because they told like if they accept Kyoto Protocol, then it will affect their economic development because they have to divert all their money for searching alternate source of energy. So that will affect their economy. So because of economic reasons, United States decided to come out. So US came out from Kyoto. Okay, so in 2005, this Kyoto was implemented. Targeted year to reach this target, that is 5.1% of 1990 level. It was from 2008 January to 2012 December. 2012 December. So this is the target period. Within 5 years, they should reach this target. So everything was going smoothly. In 2009, 15th CO was scheduled. Okay, 15th COP was scheduled in Copenhagen. 15th Conference of Parties. To which convention? That is 15th COP of UNFCCC. So scheduled in Copenhagen. So in Copenhagen, what happened? There was a problem. Why? Because till 2009, United States was first largest emitter of carbon dioxide, followed by China, followed by European Union, followed by India, and followed by Russia. These 5 are top 5 polluting states till 2009. Till 2009, these 5 are top polluting states. But what happened? In 2009, China became number 1 polluter, United States became number 2 after 2009. It happened in 2009. China became number 1 polluter in the world. Number 1 polluter. So what happened in Copenhagen summit? Okay, in Copenhagen, there was a rift between countries led by United States, developing countries led by a group of countries called BASIC. That is Brazil, South Africa, India, and China. So they were representatives of developing, and the United States represented all the developed states. Even though US is not party to Kyoto, but under UNFCCC, US is party, and the United States represented developed countries, and the developing states were represented by BASIC. BASIC means Brazil, South Africa, India, and China. Okay. There was a rift, there was a divide. What was the rift? See, developed countries mentioned that even though the developed countries are more responsible for this climate change, under Kyoto, if one side developed countries are reducing their greenhouse gas emission, on the another side developing countries are increasing greenhouse gas emission. Okay, developing, say for example in 2009, China became number 1 polluter, India is the 4th largest. One side developing countries are increasing, on another side developed countries are decreasing. If this is the case, then there will not be any meaning for Kyoto Protocol, because whatever reduced by developed countries, it will be compensated by developing countries in the name of developing states. So there will not be any meaning for Kyoto Protocol, there will not be any impact in the global atmosphere. So what can be done means, it is very simple. Along with the developed countries, developing countries also should take responsibility. Developing countries should also take responsibility. This is the demand of developed countries. This is the demand of developed countries in Copenhagen summit. Others asked, sir, you said the developing countries have no target. In that case, how will carbon credit work in calculating the amount of permissible emissions of each country? And see, voluntarily they can reduce. No target. Okay. So this is the difference between, see, the United States led developed countries, they demanded developing countries also they should join with developed countries, and both developed and developing should reduce emission reduction. Okay, so they should do emission reduction by both developed and developing. But the developing countries, their view was totally different. There were 3 reasons mentioned by developing states. First one, historically you polluted more. Okay, almost for 250 years you polluted, but we started our economic journey only after Second World War. So our pollution period is just maybe 30 to 40 years, but your pollution period was very high. Okay, and apart from that, whatever economic benefit, okay, see, you burned fossil fuel, with that you enjoyed a lot of economic benefit. Okay, you became developed state, you developed your economy, you developed your industry. Okay, so when compared to developed countries, the responsibility, developing countries, we cannot take any responsibility. Point number 1. Because you enjoyed all kind of economic benefit out of this burning of fossil fuel. Second, say for example, India argued that in our country, 1/3 of population, that is more than 300 million people, they are living under poverty. To address this poverty issue, we should provide electricity. Only by providing electricity, we can address poverty. For providing electricity, the chief mode of production is coal-based thermal power stations. If we accept any commitment under Kyoto, like developed countries, we cannot produce energy. Okay, because we don't have affordability for other sources of energy. So, we cannot accept. Third reason is, that is valid one, if you take the per capita emission of carbon dioxide in India in 2009, in India it was 1.4 metric ton per person per year. In China it was around 4.5 metric ton per person per year. Global average was around 1.5 metric ton per person per year. Okay, but in United States and European countries, their per capita emission was more than 22 metric ton per person per year. Just imagine how fold they are consuming. The per capita emission of Western countries, it is more than 22 metric ton per person per year. It means they are maintaining most luxurious lifestyle. Okay, but our people, even for basic needs, they are fighting. Why we are in the fourth position in the global emission level means only because of our population. If US is having population like India, then their contribution to the global climate change will be around 50% instead of 25%. Okay, so only because of our population, India and China became top 5 polluting states. Otherwise, we would have occupied probably 180th position or 160th position like that. Because our per capita emission is very, very less. So only because of your mass consumption pattern lifestyle and luxury lifestyle, you are polluting more, but our people polluting very, very less. So because of these three reasons put by developing states to developed states. But the developed states, they're not bothered anything about all these arguments. They were very keen, they were very much particular that developing countries should take responsibility along with the developed countries. So in Copenhagen summit, finally, after marathon discussion, they concluded an agreement that is called Copenhagen Accord. Historical agreement, Copenhagen Accord was signed. So what are the major aspects of Copenhagen Accord? That is, through Copenhagen Accord, the developing countries, in principle, they accepted that they may think about emission reduction after first phase of Kyoto Protocol. First phase of Kyoto Protocol. So when is the first phase of Kyoto Protocol end? When it is going to end? Any idea? What is the first phase of Kyoto? 2012, exactly. Superb. So in 2012, that is, developing countries may consider to take responsibility along with the developed countries after 2012. That is the major aspect of Copenhagen Accord. Okay. So with this, we will stop. Okay. And in the next class, probably tomorrow, I think, we will discuss about very important thing. So tomorrow, what are the things we are going to discuss means? One is, after this Copenhagen, the next development was Doha Amendment. Okay. And in Doha Amendment, there were some amendments proposed That is Doha summit was conducted in 2012 under UNFCCC. That is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19th COP. Okay. And what are the proposals given under Doha Amendment? Then we will discuss about 2015 summit, that is called Paris Climate Summit. So in the summit, Paris Climate Deal was signed. So what was the major aspects of the deal that we will discuss? Then we will discuss about, with that we will complete UNFCCC. Okay, the outcomes of UNFCCC. Then we will discuss about the next outcome of Rio conference. That's the next convention, that is CBD. Under CBD, we will discuss about what is biological diversity and what are the protocols were signed, like Cartagena, Nagoya. Then we will discuss about biopiracy. Then what are the initiatives taken by Government of India in order to ensure biological diversity protection. Then we will discuss about this one, 2012 summit, 2002 summit, then 2012 summit, then 2015 summit. Okay. So with that, and along with that, there are some other international organizations and conventions not related to climate change, related to other purpose, like Ramsar Convention and other conventions. Then we will move to other global mandate. Okay. So this is the thing. So any doubt? So we can stop. Second view of developed state between 2005 and 2008. What happened? Kiranmay, I couldn't get your question. Out of subject question. No info about economics test that was supposed to be conducted on 8th September. Definitely we will inform you today. Sivaranjani, I will tell you today. So we can conduct. So actually, what happened? I was planning to conduct core economics test, whatever madam completed. But madam told me like we can wait till the completion of public finance, then we can conduct test. So because of that, we confused what to do. So now finally we decided that whatever madam completed, for that you will have test along with current affairs. Okay, we will probably tomorrow you will upload question and we will inform you. You can take test. Copenhagen Accord, can you explain? See, Copenhagen Accord is very simple. This is the agreement between United States-led developed countries plus basic countries. And what was the agreement means? After first phase of Kyoto, developing countries may think about taking responsibility for reducing greenhouse gas emission. Same like developed countries. Developing countries, in order to reduce poverty, what they have to do. Okay, thank you. So those who want to ask question, you stay. You can leave. See, for reducing poverty, first opportunity should be given. Many industries to be developed, many infrastructures to be developed. For that, basically, you need electricity. Will we have discussion for this test? Yes, Ravadi, definitely we will have test discussion. Current affairs are very tough. What are the other sources apart from Hindu, PAB, we have to refer? See, don't take it as tough or easy. Whatever possible number of questions you can answer, you answer. The important thing is you should understand that you are in the learning process, not in the testing process. Whatever test we are conducting right now, this is as part of learning process, not part of testing process. Testing process may be started from November or December, not now. So my suggestion is try to get information as much as possible from class as well as test. So in current affairs, if you don't know anything, we would have referred from other sources and we have taken questions from previous content also related to the current affairs. So you take that content, okay, you get that content. So don't take it as a test. It is actually learning process. Almost first 10-15 tests will be learning process. Okay. Core economic classes taken by madam in batch 1. In batch 4, only 2 to 3 classes completed. No problem. We will have a separate arrangement for you. That we know. We know that core economics not completed for 4th batch. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. So we'll meet tomorrow. Okay. Before 2019 15th conference, you have mentioned some year. What I mentioned? Karanmai, better you text me. I couldn't get your question, Karanmai. Before 2009 15th conference, you have mentioned some year. Before, that is 2008 to 2012 target period. That's all. They have to search alternate sources. I don't know. Karanmai? Yes, activate பண்ணுங்க. Yes, Karanmai. Please you raise your hand. You can connect. Karanmai.
Sir, my doubt was cleared actually. 2008 to 12 you mentioned. That one only I missed.
Okay. That is a target
Something
period
target
of.
period.
Okay.
Okay, sir, regarding core economics, I can follow batch 4 schedule.
Yes, you can follow.
Only that class I will go like that.
Yes, you will get video.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. முடிச்சுக்கலாமா?